Warning, this video is intended for adult collectors. It contains plastic collectibles, questionable opinions, and the guy who should be working on Plastic Addict. Incoming random review in 3, 2, 1.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel, and this is overdue. I've had this toy for a hot minute, and you're only now seeing him pop up at normal Walmarts all over the place. Honestly, this just kind of fell off. But I'm sure a lot of people were wondering what I thought of the brand new Cybertron Sideways. We get a brand new mold Cybertron toy again, and you know that's going to get me excited. And yeah, I was thrilled to find out this toy was happening, so now we get to talk about it and discuss how the toy actually turned out. So, as a representation of the original Sideways toy, it's doing a pretty good job, all things considered. You know, it might not be, I don't think it's quite as, well, Sutton, why is my white balance, really freaking out on this toy? Oh well, okay, so yeah, it's a little, I think it's a little bit thicker than the original. I'll put it that way. But besides that, vehicle mode looks pretty spot on. It's that Cybertronic, no, hang on, Planet X spaceship that is very, very iconic of Cybertron, very striking. Appropriate because the Halloween vibes are starting to sneak in very early this year. And yeah, the black and the orange hit that really, really well. The silver is done very nicely, as is this more ancient looking gold that's trimming his details. Very, very nice. You have the front cockpit done in bright orange paint inside that silver. Very, very nice. Not the translucent of the original, though in this case that kind of helps those colors pop a little bit more at the cost of some minor details, like the emblem there at the top not being painted like it was on the original. But it is a modern toy with modern budget constraints, so I can kind of see where those little things would get skipped. Things like the wiring on the backside, which is asymmetrically molded, just like the original, which is nice to see. But obviously they've made the details much more generic in the paint. The green that strikes through, that's there, and it's down there as well, so that's accurate. It's left off of the wing, unfortunately, which that's a little bit of a loss, because otherwise, yeah, this is looking pretty bang on. Yeah, I mean, I still love the overall look of the vehicle mode. Little details like the wing, like little winglets on the underside, and how the points from the knees and the backpack all point backwards, like it's almost like it has built-in speed lines. It's a really cool design. It's always been a really cool design. Now, aside from that, and yeah, obviously, this is a Cybertronian design, so, you don't have to worry about accuracy or what's exposed in the vehicle mode, because, hey, it's just a robot just flying around a Cybertronian world. Doesn't need to disguise himself. That said, he does have a few things I like. He does have a cyber key in the Planet X design, all painted this time. Yes, molded in black plastic, everything else paint, and that is completely removable. There you go. Well, not completely painted, obviously. And then we have the Decepticon emblem. You'll recall the original Sideways had a gimmick where he could switch factions when the key was inserted. But that did mean that when the key was out, and it was out most of the time, honestly, he was always going to show an Autobot symbol. Now they've switched it up. So, here comes the one bad part about this vehicle mode. I've heard quite a few QC issues with this toy. For the most part, mine feels pretty good. The one thing that doesn't, that shield piece will pop right off very, very easily. I can get it to fit on these two tabs to stay in place, obviously, but it's these two in the back that's supposed to wedge right in there. Those do not make a connection point, meaning that it does come off very easily. The original had a double hinge to where you could actually extend it upward in vehicle mode, hover it over like this, and then use the gimmick there, which would allow you to spread out the wing blades that are part of the design and basically give the vehicle mode like an attack formation. You can't do that on this variation. Once the blades are open, like this doesn't quite fit anymore. So it is what it is. So it loses that bit of functionality. What it gains is that little switch on the back, which actually is how I switch it from Autobot to Decepticon. And that's a nice change, because now I can actually just leave it like this and not worry about leaving the key inside the toy, thus, leaving the blades extended and the springs compressed. Now, all manual. It's just a slide joint now. And I think that works better, personally. This is not the only time that this was changed, by the way. So the other change to how this toy works is that the wings are now plug off and separate off to the side. On the original, there would be this complex little set of hinges to make sure those wings could stay attached to him during transformation. But these days, modern transformations actually have a lot of that kind of engineering removed in favor of just plug it, unplug it and plug it back in later. And you know what? That's fine. That's how modern engineering works. It'd be a little bit complicated these days. Maybe back then it was overcomplicated for what it was actually accomplishing, which frankly, especially with those wing pieces, wasn't all that much, if we're going to be honest. Okay, but with those removed, we can transform him just to see how that turned out. Going to untab these sides that will become the legs. Start with the tabs that are holding the feet into place, and then push these down away from the top section to untab them that way. Go ahead and fold out. They're going to rotate this way to get into the correct orientation for leg mode. Go ahead and fold the feet out like so. Make sure the heels are folded out like that. There we go. And now we're going to rotate all of this down, and we're going to need a lot of space here in order to get all of this out. So there are two hinges here that you have to swing open. Make sure it's that orange hinge. And from there, reach in. I find if you push down from the top, you're going to split open the tab very easily and push these out at the same time. Makes it very easy to get them out in the correct spots. Go ahead and fold all of that down. Now, all this needs to fold back in like that in order to get into the robot position. Go ahead and fold the arms down and rotate fists. You'll want to rotate the arms all the way around. Make sure these 5mm ports are on the outside so we can actually use them for attachment. Fold these down. This is actually a nice change from the original. The original had a plastic bar that actually made this a single piece. And the thing about that is you could always feel it flexing weirdly when you transform the toy. Like it wasn't the right size, or the hinges were just like not correctly aligned. Something was off when they folded it down. This is actually much smoother, so that's actually an improvement. So, with that out of the way, let's go to the cockpit itself. This is the double hinge that survived, and this is the transformation step that's pretty much exactly the same. Go ahead and open up the cockpit, rotate the head out like that, double hinge it back into its correct position, close up chest, and that is sideways, transformed into robot mode, and looking really, really nice. Can I get him to stand balanced? I can if I actually keep his feet out like they're supposed to be. So, the transformation is very similar to the original. You remember, I opened up a fresh Galaxy Force one on this channel not long ago, and yeah, like, it does feel the same. Obviously, some transformations have changed in order to improve what it could do, but for the most part, it still kind of feels like the original. It feels good, still makes for a fun Transformer. And design-wise, yeah, I mean, just as I like to say, it's very, very clean. Everything just kind of does what it's supposed to do. It does help that Cybertron toys were dead accurate to the original toys, or to the original animation, because the animation used the CAD models to make the animation models. So you never have to cry inaccuracy when it comes to Cybertron toy molds. So this one stays true to that, but also does a little bit of modernization. Keeps the important details, though. That head design has always been incredibly cool. It's so creepy. No eyes, no mouth, just the straight up bright visor. Really, really wicked. The head, I think, is a little bit flatter than the original, but still looks really, really nice. Very menacing design. I'm also happy to say that enough of the deco survived the modernization to still pop really, really well. I like this ancient gold that he has going across him on the shoulders and decorating the feet. The silver on the big knee parts survived. That's great. Little things are missing, and I will show you what here in a minute. But we are going to focus on just the toy itself first, and yeah, it's all beautiful. Now, because this is a Cybertronian design, it doesn't really hide anything in the vehicle mode, meaning there's really no details you haven't seen outside the head, but it's just a beautiful design itself. I've always liked how the silver and the gold bring this down from what could have easily looked a little bit too Halloween, and brings it around just being something uniquely his. The midsection being stark bright orange might be a little bit off. I might want a little bit to break up there, but I don't know. That's kind of how the original was, so I can't harp on it. It's accurate. Let me go ahead and show you the articulation before we get into some real stuff. So the head is ball jointed. It can rotate all the way around 360 and has a little bit of up and down. Shoulders are universally jointed, so you have full range, up, down, full motion there. Bicep swivel, 360 degrees. Elbows with a 90-degree bend. Wrist rotation. All that true to the original toy. Here's the difference. Working waist joint. The original toy had a split down the pelvis in order to get his legs out wide enough for his transformation. That's why this one's a little bit fatter than the old one was in vehicle mode, because he doesn't have that extra layer of collapsing. But the counterpoint is the articulation in the robot mode can be a lot better. For instance, universal hips instead of ball joints. Much nicer, much more secure. 360 degrees on the thigh swivel. We have a very deep knee bend thanks to the transformation. And the other modernization, full ankle tilt available. Brilliant to see. Yeah, so aside from that one piece, that shield not clipping into the vehicle mode really well, yeah, this is just a really nice secondary adaptation of the toy. I mean, it's basically the same figure with some modern sensibilities to how it's engineered, and admittedly some modern budgeting as well. But the end result is still a really nice take on Cybertron sideways. Now, if we want a little bit more, I can go ahead and mount his shield the way it's supposed to on his arm. There is a peg that folds out for this, like so. That will go right there on the left arm. Now, this is, again, a little bit of a benefit compared to the old toy. The other one was always affixed to that, chain of double hinges, so it mounts onto his left arm. But here, you have the option of mounting it to the right arm as well. I like that as a change, even if it is simplifying the engineering. That said, you also have the wings, which can do basically what the originals could do. There are 5mm ports on the sides of the legs, so if you want to mount them on the legs like the original toy, you can. There's 5mm ports for that. If you want to use those 5mm ports to actually make them into forearm weapons, big wings, sickles, you can do that too. If they ever do a rat bat repaint of this one, by the way, this is a really sick idea for how to use his wings to make the two look differently. But most of you will do what normal people do when it comes to this particular toy. You can mount them on the back still too, if you want to have a Seeker backpack. Lots of options. You can just give him that gigantic, power bow looking blade weapon, so he can be fully fitted and decked out. Oh, and don't forget the cyber key. So just so he can throw everything in at once. Now, I can end it there, or I could show you something kind of impressive. So let's go ahead and put you over there, and let's bring in Galaxy Force sideways, or Noise Maze, I should say, since this is the Japanese version. Now, deco-wise, this is very unfair, because now you can see all the little details that are missing from the new version, i.e. the gold along the cockpit, the little hits of orange in the thighs, a little bit of, it's a little bit of extra deco on the sword. But you notice the other thing about this? He's taller. The modern Sideways toy is actually taller than the original, and this is with the legs splayed a little bit. If anything, he should be another millimeter or two above the original. That alone is kind of impressive. I was not expecting that. So, you're not even getting a miniaturization. You're basically just getting another run of the original toy with some modern amenities added. And that's perfectly fine. For a lot of people, the Japanese version especially is not a good option. It's not an affordable option to go get the original. But for the people who really wanted this design and really like this character in particular, because he is just, a cool character, as well as a really fantastic and unique design. Yeah, it's great to see him available in the stores again, and great that he came out so good. Now, if you can avoid the QC issues, great. But still, mine turned out pretty good, so fingers crossed for you. So, that's going to be it. Thank you very much for watching. As I said, Walmart's putting these out right now in this weird new collector's section aisle that they got. Keep an eye out for it. Apparently, it's somewhere near the electronics section for some reason. But they are getting out there, and I'm glad to see a little bit more Cybertron love. So, thank you everyone for watching. I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.